What's going on, Nasteey Nation? It's Nasteey, and in today's video, we're going to be doing another coaching session. This time around, I am coaching a silver player as he is playing Brand. I'm going to be giving him tips and tricks along the way, and hopefully we can see some improvement, and eventually, hopefully, he'll be able to play a little bit better on Brand and play a little bit better as a player as a whole. Before we get into the video, though, I just wanted to quickly shout out today's partnership/sponsorship. We have partnered up with Quarterback once again. This time around, they've actually rebranded to Club, but it is still the exact same. Essentially, you join a club, you compete in challenges, and you earn free RP, which you can then unlock, champions and skins for. It's very simple, very easy to use, and also very fun to use. Click on the first link in the description to join my club and get started today. Also, there's a special event going on this week. If you compete in 5 challenges, then you have a chance to win and unlock every single KDA skin. So it's a lot of fun stuff going on there. Be sure to check out Club. Without further ado, though, let's get into the video. Hope you guys enjoy.
Keep it on the level. Keep it on the level. I'm climbing up the.
Alright, hello everybody. Today we are back with another coaching session. This time around we're going to be looking at a Silver 3 brand support game. This game does end in a loss, so we're going to be doing our best job to try to figure out what exactly he did wrong and why that might have led to the loss. But we're also going to try our best to try to pinpoint the things that he's doing good, and that way he'll know what kind of habits he should continue to do and what kind of habits he needs to kind of fix. So we're going to go ahead and pause it right here. And we're going to talk about the 3 questions that I think you should always be asking yourself at the beginning of every single game. Those questions are, what is your role in the team? What is your team's win condition? And how do you want to play the lane phase? The first of those 3 questions that comes into play is going to be, how do you want to play the lane phase? So if we look at this matchup specifically, so we have 2 AP mages in the support role. So both of these champions typically like to play pretty aggressive, try to poke the enemy down, and then eventually go for all-ins. So right there, it's pretty even. Caitlyn and Kaisa, on the other hand, even though both of them can do some good early game damage and have kind of like a big presence in the lane phase, Caitlyn by far is more of a lane bully. Caitlyn is kind of known as the lane bully amongst ADCs. She can push in the wave really good. She has a fairly longer range than most other ADCs. Her traps allow her to siege the towers really easily. She's also really good when combined with a support that has crowd control. Playing her with Brand isn't the best matchup or combo. Something like Brand or Caitlyn Morgana is really popular, because if Morgana lands a binding, Caitlyn can drop a trap. If Lux is with Caitlyn, if Lux lands a snare, Caitlyn can drop a trap, and it makes it really easy. This way, in this matchup, Brand, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to land a stun because they have to land 2 abilities in total. Overall, though, I don't think it's a bad combo, and I think that you definitely have the upper hand on these guys. So I'm definitely looking for you to play aggressive. On top of that, if you look at the jungle matchup and the mid matchup, actually. So Aurelion Sol is a mid laner who is notorious for always having lane priority. He can push in he can push in the wave in any matchup. So you could probably expect Aurelion Sol to have priority throughout the entirety of the lane phase. On top of that, Kindred isn't really well known for being an early game jungler, but Kindred is definitely a lot stronger than Wukong. Wukong is one of the weakest junglers in the game right now. Terrible clear, loses a lot of health. It's just a mess all over the place. So you guys have priority in 4 out of your 5 lanes. We didn't even talk about top lane. But 4 out of your 5 lanes, or 4 out of your 5 teammates rather, should have priority. So I'm looking for you to play really aggressive, and that's how you're going to want to play the lane phase. Following along so far? Am I going too fast?
Nope, you're good. Okay. I am following.
All right, cool. The other 2 questions that I mentioned we'll talk about a little bit later on. By the way, this is good. Okay, so you do want to be proactive during the beginning of the game. It's never a good idea to just kind of sit AFK. However, what I would say is, from right here, if they were stacked in this bush and you somehow didn't see them sneak in there, you're actually in range of getting hit here. So make sure I'd probably stand a little bit further back here, and that way you'll see them as soon as they come in this direction. As far as invades go, you guys definitely didn't want to invade this game. You guys don't have any like level 1 CC. Also, Aurelion Sol is really bad at invading because his orbs can be seen at all times. He can't hide in bushes, so even if you're sneaking up on the enemy, they're gonna see the orbs from a mile away.
See, I would have thought that Aurelion Sol into Akali was a bad pick because she can bully him a lot more. I mean, that's just the way I look at it, but maybe not.
I mean, not level 1. Level 1, Aurelion Sol is the best mid laner in the game, pretty much. No champion can push in the wave as fast as he can.
Right.
Later on, though, Akali can punish him.
Where do you want to stand? Like, if you're standing just for vision, you said I'm in range of the bush. And I know that usually I stand there so that I can... Like, if you start on blue side, you can get up before they can, so I can see them if they're crossing from that bush above down into that bush. So usually I try to run and just stand there just to get vision. Now, what I can't see is if they come into the bush above there. So I kind of try and stand a little bit lower, so if they do try and use skill shots, even if I get hit by it, like I won't stand there probably past 1 minute just so I have enough time to recall. If I do get hit, I mean, I'm not trying to waste a flash, and I don't. Usually, that's why I'll stand there like that. So, I mean, where would be a better place
just a little
to
bit
stand?
further back, probably right here on this little stone, wherever that's in the ground. Right there should be good.
Okay.
And you'll see all around. Okay, so bot lane, you don't have to leash, which means you should immediately be able to get level 2 before the enemy. So you should be walking the lane, auto-attacking, that's perfect. You don't want to push this in too much, though. If you push this in too much, you'll get the level 2, but you'll also push the wave. Okay?
Yeah, I was hit at auto-attacking so she could use her Q on it.
Perfect.
That was the goal there.
So as soon as this second wave comes, we immediately want to focus on the first 3 minions. So I don't want to see you using your W on them, because you want to make sure you have your W available. Okay, so let's see. Your W is on 8-second cooldown. Right, during this whole time, what I'd rather see you doing, let's back this up here. So level 1 as an AP mage, or as most supports, level 1, or the first wave rather, all I want to do is just try to poke. I just want to be a nuisance, and I want to proc my Smell Thieves. As soon as the second wave crashes, my main focus is now on these 3 minions right here. Okay? And the reason that I want these 3 minions is because these 3 minions give me level 2, and I don't want to use my abilities on them because I want to have both of my abilities up and available to use on them once I hit level 2. So instead I'd be autoing, and then as soon as I hit level 2, I would walk up, WQ, you probably get a kill, you probably get some kind of flash or something. Okay, you're still going to get level 2 here, so let's see how you handle it. Okay, again, I think we made another mistake here, so 2 mistakes here. You were 1 minion away from level 2, right? So what you should be doing is going up once that final minion is dying. What you did here is you walked up, you poked with your W, and you backed up. So now not only, you have the level 2, but you weren't walking up at the right time, and you don't have both of your abilities to punish them. Okay. This lane is still going okay. You're poking them down with your W a lot. There's just a few minor changes that you could be making. This lane is like kind of won at this point though because of how much you've chunked her. She doesn't have a potion, does she?
I'm not sure.
I
mean, that's usually my main focus really, is just trying to poke them down, because once you trade effectively, they can't play aggressive. Now the only thing is my ADC was getting hit by like every single skill shot.
Yeah, they're getting hit by a lot too though. Okay, good. So at this point you have about 40% mana. Probably 40% mana. You can still poke, but once you get down to a certain amount of mana, you gotta be a little bit more cautious with your poke.
And that's generally what I do. Like once I get down to like 1/3, I'll back off a little bit on the poking, and even if I haven't gotten them low, just to react so I can stun them if they do come in.
So the best time for you to throw out your abilities in lane phase is when you expect them to go for a last hit, because when they're going for a last hit, there's a split second in which they have to stand still in order to auto attack. So this is like one of the only times I've seen you do it, but this is like one example. Right here.
I actually just recently started doing it because I guess it kind of clicked that that's, you know, an effective way to poke.
Yeah. So like right here, like if she were to go for a last hit on that minion, maybe you'd go for a W there instead of the W that we saw just a few seconds ago, where like the wave hasn't really crashed yet and they weren't really contesting it. You just increase your odds of landing it that way. Also, last time I had a coaching session with you, one thing I noticed is that you were poking when you were playing Lux support. You were trying to poke with both your E and your Q. And I always say, as I told you when we did the session, that when you play Lux support, it's pretty much poking with your E, and then you eventually look for a Q for an all-in. As Brand, it's kind of the same thing. You like poke with your W, and then eventually you'll try to go for like a Q combo.
Don't worry about that skill shot. So hey, if you can pause 1 second.
Yeah.
So I know, just to go back to Lux real quick, I do play Lux and Brand primarily as support. And when I know you're supposed to start with your E on Lux. Now, it's great in lane poking, and is it an okay decision to start your Q if your team has a good invade?
If you're
Because like
invading,
that,
yes.
yeah, because I started a game, one of the victories I had recently on Lux. I started with my Q, and we picked up 4 kills before like 145 because I was able to snare them. Like they couldn't get away.
Well,
And we ended up winning. I think a lot of it because our Annie went to lane with 3-0 in mid lane, and I went 1-0 into lane.
do you have a key binding for leveling up your abilities, or do you click?
I usually click, but I can alt too. I'm sort of learning how to do it.
Okay, having a key that you're used to, like that's a really important key binding to get done. That'll allow you to like level up your abilities and stuff in the middle of fights, and that can make your ability stronger and kind of be the difference sometimes. When it comes to level 1, you typically don't want to put a point into an ability until you're sure you need to use an ability. So, for example, like if you do want to invade as Lux, you can start invading and not have a point in anything. But as soon as you see somebody, if hopefully you have a keybind, you level up your Q and you throw that Q out right away, right? That's kind of what you want to be doing. But yeah, that is a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, I just tend to notice that like in my elo, like people aren't good at dodging skill shots. I know when you get higher they are, but like Lux's Q, like people can't dodge it, especially if you're in a bush and they don't see you winding up to throw it. Like most of the times I'm able to land it on people at level 1, and then that sets them up to take a pretty effective trade. I mean, I do primarily go E, and I know this is a brand game, but I just wanted to ask about it because it just seems like it can be situational. Like it might be better to take Q with a certain, like if you're invading.
Yeah, invades for sure, yeah.
I usually don't take my skill until I see where the team's going, and if we're gonna invade, I'll look at it. So
Okay,
that was all.
All right. So Brand's level 3. Most champions have their power spike at level 2. Most support champions, at least. Brand's power spike is at 3 because that's the first time in the game that you'll actually be able to utilize your passive, right? Because it takes 3 landed abilities. Let's see what goes right or wrong here. Okay, that was another W. That was a little impatient. Okay. Okay, so what would I have done differently here? Let's slow this down.
Not blowing my W. I would have had it to poke. I blew
So W right here is a little early, right? After that, so Brand's E is his shortest range ability. So if you're in range for your E, then you're in range for anything else, right?
Right.
So as soon as your E goes off and you realize that you're in range for your E, as soon as that E animation goes off, you should be immediately casting your Q. Just give them as least amount of reaction time as possible. So this combo here should be an EQ. Instead, it's an E auto and then a Q. That heal plus that extra little time that she had to walk away, that's what makes you have to flash in order to get into a range of an ignite here, right? So that one little auto attack is going to be the difference in the distance, and that's why you guys aren't able to kill her right away. Gotcha. So 2 very small mistakes.
So I have a question just real quick, if you want to pause.
Yeah.
So, generally speaking, when I look at a team, since I primarily play Lux and Brand, I'll usually pick Brand if they have a tankier team.
It's a good idea.
Just because of the % health damage. Is that a good pick? Because I don't like playing Lux into a super tanky team because, yeah, you can lock them down, but once you get to like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes and they have more health or more magic resist, it gets more difficult to be able to actually chunk them down. Whereas with Brand and the % health, it kind of sustains early, mid, and especially late game.
Yeah.
So that's why I pick a Brand typically.
That's actually perfect logic. So Brand is a lot better at shredding tanks. Lux is a lot better at one-shotting squishy targets. So that's exactly kind of when you want to be picking those 2 champions apart from each other. Okay, so you guys just chunked Lux out of lane. Caitlyn's pretty low. She's sitting on almost 800 gold. I feel like you guys should have probably pushed this wave in and then recalled. Another reason you kind of want to do that is because you have no idea where the enemy jungler is.
Right.
So this is a little greedy of you guys to stick around. I don't think sitting in the bush here, though, is going to accomplish much. So if I were you, I would have made up your mind between recalling or pushing in this wave.
The logic between sitting in the bush, by the reason I was doing that was I wanted to see if I could trick her into thinking I backed because I was standing there for so long to see if she would go in on Caitlyn, you know, when the wave came up, and then I was going to ambush her. That was really the thought process there, not just standing there because I was waiting for her to push the wave. Generally speaking, yeah, I would have helped push. So, but that's, you know, I guess sort of the thought process behind it.
Okay.
But
I don't think that would happen in this situation just because Kai'Sa's down a heal and the wave was big. Also, I think you kind of stuck around here to like proc your spell thieves, but now you're gonna lose a lot of tempo. So you and Caitlyn, you're like off on like probably 15 seconds or so between each other. So now Caitlyn's gonna have 15 seconds in lane by herself. And when that happens and they're stuck in a 1v2 lane sometimes, then the tempo just goes down a lot. So try to recall at the same time as your ADC.
right, yeah, you don't want to be off timing wise. That makes sense.
Okay, and then did we just see Lux? What does Lux do? We see Wukong going mid. Okay, so Lux is in the bush. Got it. So I was gonna say you could have roamed in a situation like this instead of walking straight down bottom. But one thing is when you went up to the tower and you hit the tower a couple times, you also used your W on the wave. That made it so that this wave was weaker when it crashed into your wave. And as a result, your wave is now pushing back towards them rather than their wave pushing back towards you. So the fact that we know that Caitlyn is here in a 2v1 lane until you get here, and the fact that their wave was at least getting pushed back towards them, it's different now, of course. That's why you didn't have time to roam there. Then let's talk about this. So this is a mistake. So first off, Caitlyn might not know that Lux is in this bush, but we should know because when we're walking back to lane, we have nothing better to do. We should be looking at the map. We could have figured out that Lux was in the bush.
I knew she was in the bush.
Yeah. So we got.
That's why I entered. That's why I entered the bush from the backside because I don't think they had sight on it. They didn't know I was there unless it's water, which I don't think it is.
And then was this a missed combo or did you mean to use W first?
It was a missed combo.
Okay. It looked like there's a little hesitation there, so it looked like you wanted to press E, but didn't actually press E right away, or something like that.
It was because I was trying to decide who I was going to attack because Lux walked out, and she's a little bit squishier than Kai'Sa, even though Kai'Sa does more damage. That's why I targeted her. Yeah, I know I probably should have, targeted Kai'Sa, but
I think you target Lux right here.
Okay.
She's right here in front of you.
That was a split-second decision. That's sort of what I did.
EQW right there.
Okay.
Caitlyn might be dead either way, but I think, you guys would have killed Lux for sure. It would have been a 1-for-1, I think.
I would have killed Lux if she hadn't flashed. I didn't realize she had flash, and she used it to jump out of my Q, which, if the Q would have landed and procced my pass, I might have been able to kill her. She had barrier still, so, not sure.
I think you can get dove here. I would have held on to my Q there because there's a small chance that you get dove, and if you get dove, you want to make sure that you can have your stun available. As soon as you throw that Q out, then you can't stun them for a good period of time.
Right.
Okay, so Caitlyn picks up a double kill by herself. That's good. So you should right now go drop a ward. Right here. Okay, maybe deeper. Where's this going? Okay, this might be a roam then. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking to roam.
I think in a situation like that, you get a double kill for free. You gotta remember these plates are worth probably a lot more than a potential flash or potential kill in the mid lane.
I think the goal really more so is I knew she'd take a plate, that way she could get 150 gold rather than splitting it between us. That was more so because she was already 2 kills ahead. That was more the logic there, I guess, to let her have the plate because we weren't going to be able to take 2. And
I think you could have taken 2. Maybe.
Not with them coming back to lane. I mean, that's just what I was thinking. So I figured I'd roam mid since they were both dead. And Akali was in the middle, so I wasn't sure if I would be able to pick it up, but I wanted to try.
Yeah.
I've been trying to roam a lot more, only in situations where my ADC doesn't have any threat. That way, she's already ahead, and I know you want to keep whoever's ahead, but I can't really do much by just standing there besides take a plate, whereas I could potentially get mid a kill.
I think plates are just more beneficial, and it's guaranteed rather than this play here. So I definitely, especially with Wukong topside, I originally said go drop a ward, go take plates. As soon as Wukong shows, you can just go take these plates right away. That's probably what I would have done. Also, when it comes to playing a champion like Brand, so certain champions want to roam more than others. For example, someone like Bard. Bard has a lot of roaming potential. He moves around the map fast. He's got good CC. He's got slows. He's got these portals and all this stuff. And that's why you want to roam as Bard. As Brand, your power is lane dominance and putting out as much damage as you possibly can. So you probably want to spend more of your time in the lane, whereas Bard wants to spend more of his time roaming. So as someone like Brand, you roam less.
Right, I watched a previous video of yours about who's better with roaming, and I understand that. I guess more so I just wanted to try and get another lane to kill because that's more my logic, I guess.
Okay. Let's see what we could have done differently here. You take this route from behind.
But I'm just assuming the bush is warded.
You have all your abilities. EQW is your standard combo. You lead with the W. Okay, so she comes back in.
Just a little bit delayed.
That right there is probably the only mistake I see. Like your decision making of like the order of the abilities is a little off. That kind of is fixed along with the more you play Brand. The only other problem I saw is like you're not moving in between auto attacks and abilities. Like throughout that whole fight, you kind of just were like in this small little circle right here. So you kind of just want to continuously reposition yourself. Now here, Akali is shoved out of lane. Wukong is topside, so this wave is getting pushed in. You can leave. Okay, that's perfect. He shouldn't be face checking that though, and there's no need for him to drop a ward if he's recalling.
He face checks a lot. We actually, one of the things that's frustrating about this game, we got towards the end and we really were getting our teeth kicked in all game, but we had a lot of, at least me, late scaling. We were able to start picking them off, but our team was just so demoralized by the time we started shutting them down that they 4-1 surrendered.
Oh,
I didn't want to surrender because we were, in my opinion, we were going to win. It's just going to be painful and it's ranked, and I don't like to surrender in rank. Like, I don't know. It just seems stupid to me. Unless you're getting totally face rolled. Like, I understand. That's fine.
We'll see what the situation looks like. So one thing about the Lux versus Brand matchup is you guys poke a lot, but she can outpoke you because she outranges you.
Yep, I know.
Okay, so
and I knew that going into the game.
Your decisions of the order in which you use your abilities is a little off right now. So let's go back. Let's go in slow motion. Let's figure out what we did wrong here. The first thing you did right, actually, is
I was trying to zone Lux off. That was the goal there, with dropping my W.
The thing you do right is you walk into them at the same time that Kindred is approaching them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So look where Lux is right now. She's already walking exactly where you want. You just walk this direction. That's gonna force her to walk back into you for an EQW easy combo, or walk into Kindred. So to use W, okay. This is still free. Let me change the camera. Still free.
Sorry, go ahead.
EQ right here. You leave the Q so you don't get a stun. Because you QE, that she doesn't get stunned at all there. Okay, finally the R comes out. If you are gonna flash her, you have to flash over the wall.
Okay. That's one thing I actually don't know with flashes. Like, what's the limit of how far you can flash?
My advice to you is go into the practice tool. If you go into the practice tool, you can put everything on 0 cooldown, and you can literally just go around the map flashing and practicing your flashes. That's what I did.
Okay, yeah, I probably should do that because that's the reason there that I didn't flash that way. I wasn't sure if I could.
Yeah, I mean, you can even flash like this wall here, from here to here, as big as that looks. So something as small as there to there, you could definitely do.
Okay. Yeah, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, go in the practice tool, it helps a lot. I did that. I literally, as soon as the practice tool came out, which was actually a while ago, come to think of it, but when that first came out, I just went to the practice tool and just flashed all over the map. Just over and over and over, and just try to get it used to, flash jukes and flashing over like big walls and stuff like that. Right here, we have vision on Lux. You don't have priority. So priority is like, this is how you want to look at priority, yeah. So priority is, if you look at the matchup, who from that lane can get to the fight first? Whoever can get there first has priority. So
I would say Kindred.
Yeah, so right now if you look at bot lane, Caitlyn is all the way back here. You don't know where their ADC is, so you probably have to assume that their ADC has priority here. Kindred's over here, you don't know where their jungler is, you might have to assume they have priority. Aurelion Sol's under his tower right now, you don't know where the mid laner is, you probably have to assume he has priority. So this is a pretty dangerous position to be in. This ward right here, the reason I don't like this is because it gives you vision of the dragon, but it doesn't give you vision of all the river. So if you're gonna ward the river, just drop it here instead. And
yeah,
that
usually
way Go ahead.
sorry. Usually I ward a little bit farther towards Lux. Like not the middle of the river, but like between the middle and where it's at.
Okay, yeah, because the only way they can do dragon from here is if they go all the way around without being detected and then blast cone over.
Right.
Or they have to walk through this. So just put this ward here, or else like right now, if they're smart, they could go this path, and they'll be in fog of war the entire time. Yeah, you're just getting outpoked right now.
Yeah,
That's
I know
the
that
bad thing about this matchup.
going into Lux, I know that's the problem, and I know Lux is better at poking than I am just because she outranges me with her E, but I'm honestly I think I'm just better with Bran than somebody who would be able to outpoke her. That's why I play him. I play a champion I'm better with rather than one I'm less experienced with.
So this is pretty good. Let's go back and watch this. I would say that you are playing a little bit too far back. I know you're getting tired of getting poked out, but this distance is a little too much, right? So you're a little bit out of this fight, and that's why you're a little slow to react. You get into the fight a little too slow. This is good. You use your E first, which is the start of the standard combo, but there's this minion there, right? I probably still would have gone for a Q first. So E, step to the side of the minion Q. You did a W Q. That probably would have saved Caitlyn from taking like one more auto attack. But everything after that was really good. Then you used R once she was in range. So that's all good. You want to push out this wave as fast as possible now. Hopefully drop a ward if you have one. You don't have a ward, so you should be probably pinging Caitlyn to ward that. Never mind. Now you have eyes on Wukong, so as soon as you push in that wave, you back up. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Yeah, you already know where he is, so there's no need for you to walk this direction and put that ward down. I would have just recalled faster. Your tempo is slow here. So momentum will do a lot for you in League of Legends. You always want to have the momentum.
When you say tempo, you're talking. Can you explain what you mean when you say tempo? As far as like
tempo is like
my ADC.
Tempo is basically like being able to go from one objective or like one good play to another good play or objective and very quickly, right?
So staying consistent.
Yeah, staying consistent basically, like keeping up the tempo. So you guys get a double kill, right? As soon as you get the double kill, next thing, boom, push in the wave. What do you do next? Boom, recall, boom, come back to lane, boom, get another double kill, right? Instead, what you do is you get the double kill, you push in the wave, but then you come over here, you drop a ward, you come stay in the bush, then you come this direction. So the gap in between your good play and what you're hoping to be your next good play is too long. You want to keep up the tempo. You want to continue to apply pressure. And
Right,
that'll,
typically right there with that ward, I usually put it farther up, but I didn't know if somebody was in the bush because I didn't have any sight on anyone else. So I just tried to stay as far away from the bush as possible and get sight in it.
see right here, I think this is probably going to be like a 20-second gap between you and Caitlyn, so the tempo is going to slow down a lot.
Okay.
A kindred spot. Oops, wrong button.
This Kindred is pretty good. She's about to make a really cool play.
Alright, let's see it.
I think. If I remember correctly, this was like 10 games ago.
Okay, so they're pushing in. You're hidden around the wall, so they don't know you're there. Okay, R immediately. Do you have your R? Yeah, that's what I would have done. So right here, your combo, if you're confident in a fight going your way, this goes for any kind of fight, like if it's late game, your R, you just want to throw that out first. Because if you
that was
die,
one of the questions I wanted to ask.
yeah, if you die, you want to make sure that you pressed R before you died, right?
I'm gonna die as Brand because I usually don't build Zanya's unless I have like a lot of assassins on the enemy team because I mean, while it's nice for somebody like Lux, Brand has a lot more health.
Yeah, so right here, as soon as she goes in, and I see these minions here, my thought process is press R. It turns out to be a good thing that you didn't because she had flash to get away, right? But that would have been my thought process. Okay. Wukong's here, so okay, yeah, this is just some tunnel vision right here.
Yeah, it's definitely tunnel vision. I didn't realize Wukong was coming around.
Okay, so your E's on cooldown, so you W. So right now, I think you get greedy. You're splitting your targets. So Brand, his damage is gonna come out from hitting one target multiple times, whether that be with an R or a EQW combo or just like your R bouncing off him multiple times, right? So right here, you walk up, you land the W, which means your next ability ideally probably want to hit Lux with a Q. Instead, you try to do an EQ combo on Kai'Sa, and at the same time, you're tunneling here, so you don't realize that Wukong's coming behind you.
I think I didn't realize Wukong was behind me, and I was assuming the ADC was gonna follow up. Obviously, It's good they backed off, but I just didn't see it.
Alright, is this a sick Kindred play?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see it. Okay, bad so far. Let's see if she redeems herself.
I don't think that. Maybe it's later on
Okay.
or right after.
I'm gonna
She
say-
ulted, like jumped out right at the last second, jumped back in. Kindred was actually pretty good, and overall, at least from the Kindreds I usually see, because most people, Kindred seems to be like one of those champions where people are either really bad or really good with her.
Alright, you guys have a decent lead right now. Plating is gone, so you don't need to focus this tower quite as much. Of course, it's still nice to get. Have you completed your support item? Okay, so you have completed your support item. I believe we just saw Wukong top lane. When you see something like that happen, I would immediately just go over here. I'd probably drop a ward somewhere in their jungle. Like maybe right here. This intersection here. If you're not feeling comfortable walking that far, then maybe just drop one here. But there's nobody in lane right now. And you saw where their jungler was. I believe that was Wukong that we saw top side. I could have been wrong.
Yeah, that's Wukong.
Okay. If you are going to drop a ward here, I know you dropped one because you were expecting to see Kai'Sa. If you want to drop a ward on this side of the wall, drop it right here. Because that'll show anybody coming this direction, and that'll also show vision of the blast cone, so you can destroy that and eliminate that jungle path. Okay, so
Yeah, my goal was more so she walked through, I was going to stun her, and Caitlyn was right there. We probably would have been able to kill her.
I think that playing around Dragon is actually pretty good right now for you guys, because you guys are stronger than them. Started recording on accident. You guys are stronger than them. So by doing Dragon, you're forcing them to decide whether they want to give it for free or contest. I wouldn't have done it here though, because Aurelion still had just started his recall. So if all of them are still alive and paying attention, they come contest the Dragon. You guys are in a bad situation. So you guys got a little lucky there. Also, I think that you landing a combo on Akali is not really something you could try to do efficiently too often, because she just has so many dashes and her W and everything.
Right. That's more so while I was poking with my W to see if I could hit her and then I could stun her.
This is
I can't get...
Sorry to cut you off, but this is a good example of how, like, as Brand, you're probably going to die from at some point. So whatever you do, just make sure you press R before you die. You got your full combo off, including your R, you pick up 2 kills. Okay, you're dead here, so even though your team's pushing down this next tower maybe, let's fast forward. Okay, let's back that up, see what just happened.
Maybe it wasn't the Kindred in this game, I can't remember.
Okay. You could have made this a little bit easier on yourself. Instead of flashing right here, you could have stood right there, flash over the wall. That would have just made it a little bit easier. But good.
Right. I didn't notice if she used her speed up or not. So I was worried she's gonna speed up and get away, and I would not have been able to catch her. That's more why I flashed right away.
Let's see, is there anything I would do differently here? Again, I think you just need to use your EQW combo more. Because what that does is it's faster, so you're gonna catch people off guard. Here you land the W, and they already know exactly where you are, and they're not stunned. So luckily you do land the stun here, and you're able to get away. Instead though, I would have stood right here, tried to just land an EQW combo, and then backed off.
So usually the reason behind me waiting to do that is I don't want to get close enough.
Yeah.
Because I'm so squishy that if I walk right up and EQ them, I'm gonna die. I mean, most of the time. Like, in that scenario where there's 3 of them, I'm trying to stay as far away as possible.
If that's the case, what I would do is don't necessarily wait for your W to land. So assume your W is going to land right here. I would throw my W and my Q at him at one time, and then back off. If it hits, it hits. If it misses, it misses. But throwing out the W, waiting to see if it lands, and then going and trying to hit the stun, you're just hanging around for too long, and you can't really afford to do that as Brand. So if you ever see me play Brand, you'll see me, like, a lot of the times I'll just throw out a WQ combo. It's kind of the same thing as, like, when you play Lux. Sometimes you just, like, you think the binding's gonna land, so you just, like, EQ, you know? You don't always wait for the Q to land and then throw out the E. Now, sometimes you do, but more time, or sometimes you also, you know, will be confident and be like, okay, this is gonna land, let me throw the E out right away. So that's what I'll do. I'll do that a lot of times, like, let's say you're right here in this bush, right? And you see somebody walking this direction. You of course don't have vision of them, so you can't do an EQ W combo. So, but you can throw your WQ out and hopefully stun them from there, right?
I think I do that to Lux at some point in the game,
Okay.
right there, actually. Right. It might not be this game, I just can't remember because it was a little bit ago.
Gotcha. Okay, controlling vision around Baron. This is good. Neither team got Rift Herald, I believe. So it's about the mid game ish. Now we can talk about your role on the team and your team's win condition. So your team's what's up?
I just want to pause real quick. So, like, when I play Brand and Lux, and when I play Brand, like I said, usually the pick is into a tankier team. Now, this isn't really a tanky team. I just felt like playing Brand because the other options that I could play, like, I like Nautilus, but he's not really a good support right now. So I play Nautilus or like Morgana, but I'm pretty sure I banned Morgana this game. So I guess my question for you is what other AP support should I pick up, or support in general besides Thresh? And Morgana.
I only basically play Brandon Lux support right now as my AP supports. I've never been a fan of Zyra, but Zyra's fine. Xerath is pretty troll. Fiddlesticks is a little troll as well. But the way that I look at it is, if both of these picks are like off the table or unavailable, so if Lux got picked this game and you wanted to play Lux, you shouldn't ask yourself what other AP support champion can I play. You should ask yourself what champion counters Lux, because AP support into AP support is just more of the same. So that's what I've seen a lot of one tricks have success because one tricking in my opinion is not really that great. I think that you kind
Yeah,
of
well, what
limit
happens if
yourself.
your champion gets banned?
Yeah, exactly. If your champion gets picked, you're banned. So what I'll see a lot of people one tricks doing as like a way to adapt is what they do is they play two champions. They play their one trick and then they play the counter to their one trick. So if their one trick gets picked, then they have the counter for it, right? So if you want to main Lux support, great, but if Lux support gets picked, you might need an answer to that. And if you don't want to play Brand, then Brand's not even a counter pick, but what I'm trying to say is if your pick gets picked, then you might want to have a counter to follow that up with.
Right.
So hard engage is typically the best into AP supports.
Right, and I think probably part of the issue too is I play primarily AP supports just because the ones that I like to play, like Nautilus and Shen, if you have a team that just doesn't follow up or doesn't pay attention, I just jump into fights and die.
Mhm.
I mean, like most of the time, that's what happens, and it's frustrating. So at least like as an AP support, if I do okay, I can help elsewhere and really only rely on myself because it seems frustrating. Like when I jump into games, it's hard to rely on teammates, in randoms, but in random like solo queue. But right now I'm playing solo queue primarily by myself just to see. I know it's going to be harder to climb or might be harder to climb, but I feel like the only way I'm going to learn how to carry is if I play by myself.
Yeah.
Don't rely on somebody else.
Yeah. Agree. So there's the three things I want to talk about here. So the two things I was talking about earlier, the two questions: what is your role in the team, and what is your team's win condition? I'm also gonna let this roll out because I just want to get through these mid-game team scraps real quick. It looks like the other team kind of just picks up a lot of kills. As for your role on the team, your role is pretty much always the same as Brand. It's apply as much damage as you possibly can, and just hit the frontline targets. It's not your job to dive the backline. I'm actually gonna go back here so we can watch this. It's not your job to dive the backline and kill the carries on their team. Your job in this game is gonna be to hit Wukong, hit Urgot, and hit Akali. That's your job. The other thing that I want to talk about, what is your team win condition? I believe Urgot is favored in the matchup into Renekton, so split pushing probably isn't the best idea. I think grouping is definitely going to be your team's your team's win condition grouping and going front to back, which means hitting the frontliners, the melee champions on the other team, rather than diving the backline.
Right.
Their team comp, on the other hand, is going to be kind of the opposite. They're going to be looking to get to you and Caitlyn. Wukong's going to go invisible, try to get to the backline. Akali's going to try to burst one of the carries and stuff like that. So you guys need to keep these guys off of your team. That's your win condition. That's your role of the team as well. The third thing that I wanted to talk about was your build. So your core build as Brand is going Frostfang, right? Then you go Sorcerer's Shoes. After that, it's Leandries. Every single game, you want to be going Leandries. After that, the items could be a little bit different. You can go Rylai's, you can go Morello, you can go Hourglass, you can go Void Staff, you can go a lot of things. But Leandries is always priority number one. Brand also is one of the only AP champions in the game that does not really need mana. You won't run into too many mana problems as Brand. Maybe in the lane phase because you're trying to poke a lot, but as far as team fights go, you probably won't be running into mana issues. That's why even when Brand is played in the mid lane, mid laners don't build Morello on him. Ludens, they still go Leandries, they still go Morello and Rylai's and stuff like that. So make sure you're not building Lost Chapter and going that into Ludens there.
So usually the reason I build Lost Chapter is just for mana and lane. If I'm ahead, I have mana to kind of bully more. That's the reason behind it. I do go for Leandries first every game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that's the priority just because it's even more percent health damage, and then after that, I'll go Rylai's, or not Rylai's. Rylai's. That way, I can get the extra percent health damage from the slow because of the unique passive on it.
Yeah.
And then from where I go from there depends if I build Pen or I build like Zonias. It really depends, where I am.
I kind of understand your logic there, but this is like a really, really expensive item So you're going to be prolonging your Leandries by a lot. And if you don't even plan on getting the finished item, then this is kind of just like a waste in a sense. Also, again, I don't think it's 100% necessary. So just rush that Leandries as fast as you possibly can. It's such a huge spike. After Leandries... Go for it.
No, I was just going to ask, what should the ideal build path be then?
Okay, yeah. So after Leandries, it kind of comes down to like what you need most. If you need to, kite people, then Rylai's is going to be your best option because the slowing allows you to, keep your distance a little better. If you need to burst tanks a little bit more or just do more damage, you go Morello. If they're full AD or something like that, you go Zhonya's. And if they're just stacking MR because you're like on a full AP team, then you go Void Staff. But
okay.
That's pretty much how it goes. I would say more times than not, I probably go Rylai's next because Rylai's feels really, really good. I probably go Rylai's or Morello more times than not, but Zhonya's and Void Staff are options for sure. But Lost Chapter and Ludens are basically never one of the go-to items.
I didn't see Wukong come behind me. That's the reason that happened.
Yeah, your combos and everything were fine here. It's just the tunneling.
But yeah, I get bad with tunneling. This is something I have to work on. There has been a couple things, since the last coaching session that I've started doing. One of them is pushing the wave into the tower because it's not really something I ever thought about.
Mm-hmm.
That and then some roaming depending on where I'm at. Like if my ADC leaves lane and I'm full health, full mana, and their team just backed, usually I'll try and roam mid. I know it's not ideal on brand, but one of the things like you said before is always be doing something. So I don't want to just stand in lane. Doesn't really do any good.
So what I would say about this is first of all, you saw that they took Dragon, so the fact that you walked this direction was kind of sketchy, right? After that, let's slow this down. I would say if you pause the screen right here, you can already kind of tell that this fight is lost. Caitlyn is very mispositioned. Your Aurelion Soul's almost dead. They have a bunch of people collapsing. But I would probably just leave. Also, your Kindred is bot lane. Instead, you kind of fight, which is why you die. I can only imagine a lot of your teammates also die. Yeah, Soul goes down as well. So when a fight is lost, a fight is lost. That was a problem that I had in one of my Twitch rival games today. Is like somebody got caught out and everybody was like, "Oh no, guys, we could still fight this," and like I couldn't communicate it. But what I really wanted to say was like, it's already a lost fight. There's no need for us to try to salvage it. This is now a 4v5 situation. It was never a 5v5 and they got the first kill. They completely killed our teammate before the fight even broke out, and now it's just a 4v5 situation. So if a fight is lost, a fight is lost. Don't try to salvage the situation. Okay, nothing happens for a while, but looks like there's a Baron fight coming up fairly soon. You guys are still on me down 2k gold though, so you guys are doing fine. Okay, this positioning here is a little sloppy.
I was more so just trying to stop them from taking Baron.
So right here,
kind of a suicide dive.
I think you could do this without suiciding. So let's go back and watch this. I think this is a free triple kill without you dying if you play it correctly. So let's go back.
Yeah, if I ulted first. That's the thing. I'm not ever sure whether I should ult first or not.
So what I would do right here, I would RQ. So RQ on Urgot. That'll get all the bounces. If he gets stunned, then I W. I don't even worry about my E because I have to get too close in order to use my E. And then they probably all die to that. Just look how much damage you do without even getting like a full rotation off.
I was assuming, hoping, I guess the team would follow up that the Lux was zoning off 3 people, or they didn't. I know they're low, or at least one of them is.
Yeah, but I think you definitely could have got like a free triple kill there if you played it correctly. Just throw that ulti out there. Your ulti is pretty long range.
Yeah, and that's something I wanted to ask you. And I mean, obviously it's clear now, but I was never really sure on whether I should ult first.
Yeah, just get that thing out there. Get those bounces starting. Also, a lot of people, you know, they try to go for the standard EQW combo. You can also do the same thing, but replacing your E with your R, because it's a longer range, right? So just RQW. Don't even have to get into range for your E. You could just use your E if it's convenient. Okay, let's fast forward because you have a kill coming up. Let's see how this goes. Looks like you get a good amount of bounces off because of the red buff and 2 enemies here. Q, nice. E, okay, back up, perfect. So far so good. Okay, R, boom, R. A little late on the R. As soon as you see them all clumped up like that, definitely would have thrown it out. Flash was a little unneeded, but the first combo is good. The R, you just gotta recognize that's one thing you gotta be looking for when you're playing Brand is like the amount of targets in one area, because those bounces will just shred through them.
Yep, no, and that honestly, I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm doing wrong, which is bad. But hey, that's why I'm here, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing League for a long time. I started playing this game before brand support was a thing, and the main reason that brand support became popular is because people just looked at it and they were like, it makes a lot of sense because there's your ulti prioritizes enemy champions over minions, right? So when you play Brand in the mid lane where he was originally played, your ult is only hitting an enemy champion half of the time because it would hit the champion, then the minion, then the champion, then the minion. When you play Brand in the bot lane in an ideal 2v2, you throw your ult out, it goes from champion to champion and just bounces back and forth. So your damage increases a lot to champions. That's why this like originally became a thing. So whenever you see people grouped up, you know, you definitely, that's your time to use it. That doesn't mean you can only use it when there's champions. If there's, you know, champions and minions, that also works. I think your positioning is a little bad here. I think you should be over here. Ulti's okay there.
I'd die here. She is on you at the perfect time.
Yeah, I think he
totally screwed me.
I think you should have been over here. And then you and, I don't remember who it was, maybe it was Camelot or Kindred or someone, you guys clumped on top of each other. You guys also, I believe, were sticking around a while without recalling, so that's why you guys have a lot of gold, I believe. Yeah, Renekton had 1,500, I'd imagine that you guys all cashed in. Okay, let's see. It looks like Kaisa or Caitlyn getting caught out a bunch. That's just a bunch of skirmishing. Let's see if we can find some action. Okay, looks like there's a team fight right here or so. Okay. So they got the inhib off of that last push. Let's back up and watch this fight. You guys are kind of low. If you're gonna fight, it has to be right now because that mid lane turn is coming in. Good combo there. I press R as soon as she pops up. Okay, you don't have R, that's fine. Everything is good so far. Your positioning has been okay so far as well. I would say this is definitely one of your better fights that you've had until right there. Your positioning where you walk up to the Wukong probably wasn't the best. And that was slightly forced as well. The beginning of the fight, really good. The back end of the fight, not so great. I mean, no, it wasn't bad, just wasn't perfect. So your positioning was good, your combos were good. If you had ulti, that would have been a lot better. Then you walked up to melee range on the Wukong, and then the WQ combo over here was a little bad. Not bad, but more off.
Yeah, I think the reason I walked up because Kindred had her ult up, and if I got dived, I wouldn't die. You know, while I was in the ult, I think that's more like I see the circle and I have to walk to it. I know this sounds bad.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably what I was.
Well, at that point, Wukong had already used his full combo, so he had no gap closer and he didn't have his ulti. So if you keep your distance there, you were fine. This right here is a really bad play. Hopefully you don't die here. So right here, this area that you're in, if you go back 20 minutes ago, You can go here, no problem. You're perfectly fine, right? As the game progresses, though, there's something I call the safety zone that changes, right?
Oh no, I know I'm way out of it.
Okay, you're way out of position here. Trying to get vision, and I know you want vision, and vision helps, but you can die and throw the game for your team here. So if you want something like this to happen, you got to get somebody else to come with you. And I know you want to prioritize these objectives. You have no idea where anybody is right now.
I don't know why my teammates hit blast cones like that. It's so irritating.
Huh.
Like, you can see it on the map. They know we're in drag now. Thanks. I mean, assuming that they don't have wards, but...
You get really lucky here, honestly. EQ? Okay. Yeah, I don't think you guys should have been here in the first place, but that was a good combo. Okay, let's fast forward to this Baron fight, which looks like it's coming up soon. Okay. Was this another suicide play?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's take a look. Yeah, the WQ combo is not your best option. I know it's gonna be hard enough as it is to hit a Kali with an EQW combo, but the QW is gonna make it so difficult.
Did I have my ult up? I didn't see.
I believe you did.
Yeah. Again, this is another thing where it comes back to. It seems like one of the biggest problems I have is not using my ult.
Another thing I would say is when it comes to doing Baron, most teams like them, what they'll usually do is drop a ward here. It looks like they didn't. But one thing you want to do, so step one, a lot of people will drop the ward here and hide around this corner. So step one is to walk here with the lens on, hopefully, to see any wards, and then just blindly throw an ability in this area to see if you find anybody. Okay. That'll be your first step. And then if you don't find anybody, then you drop a ward right here. If you notice that it's clear, then you can then walk up a little bit even, or walk even a little bit more further, and hopefully contest the Baron. But right there, you die before you can even get to the Baron. And I believe your team forfeits off of one fight after the Baron.
They were trying to forfeit since probably about...
Alright, let's let this roll out and see if we can find anything else. You guys still have a lot of objectives up, even though the gold difference is a little large at the moment with your inhibs and stuff like that up. You do have a chance. I don't think you being on the side lane by yourself is beneficial, though. You're a team fighter. Then you walk back, yeah. So I don't think you should have been on the side. And then when you came back to the side, you probably should have just taken a long route all the way around this way. Because your job is to stay behind your team, and you kind of walk into the Wukong there. Sure, you get your ulti off, but it's too late in the game for that to matter. I would say that you just have a lot of mechanics to work on when it comes to Brand. But he is a champion that has a pretty large learning curve, so I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Yeah, see, I was thinking of a different game where we had an Aurelion Soul mid where we surrendered. It wasn't this one, obviously. We got stomped on here. The other game was a little bit different, but yeah, no, I agree. I know. I do. That's the whole reason why I wanted to do Brand instead of Lux.
Yeah. Got some things to work on, but not so bad. Not too bad. You should be fine.
I could do this all day, I could do this all night, all month, all year, for my whole entire life. Who you know got a home, but seem to live on the road, looking like a black gypsy in a caravan.